just to be clear, so this week is going to be very, very structured. I've got slides, I've got things to show on the screen, you know, so you're going to be seeing half of my face at certain times, especially now my camera's actually working. And so yeah, we're going to be doing that. And then next week, I'm going to be telling a story. Like I said, I'm going to be telling a story which is based on synchronicity. So if you're into synchronicity, if you're into just like how can that happen, like how do these sequence of events lead up to something, and what does that mean, and decoding. So if you're into decoding and understanding how the universe works, if you're in a real time walking spiritual walk essentially, then that's what next week's going to be about. Because like I said, last week was my most craziest week ever in terms of just like downloads and decodes, and me just understanding what's at play in the universe, what's at play on the planet, and then what's at play within me and within my circle and the people that, you know, are gravitating towards whatever we're building basically. So I've never had anything like this. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. So that's what next week is about. This week is about what I believe is the most important thing to focus on in life. So yeah, that's essentially it. And we're gonna break down, you know, whether you agree or not, we're gonna break down how to master what I believe is the most important thing to in life to focus on. So yeah, that's what this week is about. So because last week we sorry, 2 weeks ago we actually started a little bit of this, you know, I kind of hinted at certain things, and basically last week was like a segue into this week. I am going to do a quick refresher for the new people that are new, because I know there's quite a lot of new people on the channel. So I want to just do a quick refresher of last week, just so everyone's up to date. I'm not going to spend too long on it. Obviously, you can go watch the video from 2 weeks ago, and then it's going to, you know, segue nicely into what we're about to discuss this week. So yeah, that basically is essentially it. I'm going to pull up some slides now, and yeah, we're going to get started. So yeah, like I said, everyone get their water, strap up, and yeah, good to go, man. So people, yeah, so let's go. All right, cool. So last week, basically, as I said, I introduced a theory of wellness. So as many people know, I'm opening up a wellness center, and you know how we like to do it here. We create our own reality. This is the name of my limited company. I create my story. And so in a universe that is infinite, wherever you stand must be the center. And so we work with people to empower themselves to understand that what they do actually matters and actually has a significance and can actually make a difference. So we understand that we're a pebble on a rock, and we're a, you know, a grain of sand in a pebble on a rock, i.e. in the universe. And that in itself is like real interesting. And then so you would make, so sometimes we can think that we have no power. Sometimes we think that life is meaningless, it has no purpose, we're born, we die, and everything is insignificant. So I often speak about the meaning crisis. John Vivek, shout out to John Vivek, who speaks about the meaning crisis, and that basically people are struggling to find a sense of meaning, to have a sense of purpose, and that is leading to a deterioration of their mind, body, and spirit, essentially. So a lot of my work is, you know, finding an antidote to that, basically. So we obviously have the wellness center, which is obviously going to be the epicenter of us, you know, fighting this battle, essentially. And I, as you know, I'm more autodidactic. So although I've got a couple of certificates that say some words on it, you know, life coaching or whatever, you know, for me, life's lessons are way more valuable, are way more important to me personally. And what that basically means is that I often will create my own documents, use my imagination, my creativity, and inspiration from external environments to inspire something and create something that's myself. So, you know, instead of me studying something for 4 years under somebody, you know, going to college or university, I will buy 100 books, do whatever I need to do, and then study that. So as I'm opening up this wellness center, and my business partner is, you know, a homeopath and a naturopath, and you know, all of these things. Basically, I myself am more alchemist with stuff. I'm more shamanic with stuff, you could say. So you know, still have the logic, still respect the science, of course. You know, that's alchemy. You would have to respect the science in alchemy, but we always want to make sure that we're putting our signature, our stamp of authority, author. You know, again, writing a story, we want to put our stamp of authority. Author is auth, AU, starts with the AU, which is gold. So we want to shine our light. We want to make sure that our light shines, that we're putting our signature on what we do, basically. Also, as well, if you can like and subscribe this video, so if you can like this video as well, it really does help with going live, because there have been twice over the past year where my videos have done really well because people have liked it during, and you know, YouTube have shown it in the what's it called, the algorithm or whatever, the people's playlist. So yeah, if you could definitely just hit the like button as well, that would be appreciated. Thank you. So essentially what I what I realized is, although I've been studying this stuff for, I don't know, 10-20 years or something like that, in terms of health and wellness, I don't really have a doctrine. And so what I just got inspired to do through some different things is create my own theory of wellness, which is basically, so I mean, I've made up a name called Vibrology. You know, I've created this name called Vibrology. If anyone else has created it before, you know, I have no awareness of it, but it just means the study of vibration. Just real simple. It just means the study of vibration. So obviously all of the devices that I bought for the wellness center, yo, that's so mad with the t-shirt. All the devices I bought for the wellness center, these are like, I created this logo, by the way. Everything that you see here is my design. Other than my artist, sorry, my artist did obviously create this person as well. So I work with an artist as well. You know, he does my designs and stuff like that. But yeah, this logo, I created it. So anyway, so what we wanted to do is, I wanted to come up with a theory of wellness that would really break down what I mean when I say the word vibrology. What do I actually mean? How does that look like in terms of a process that helps people get from A to B, wherever that A is and wherever that B is going to be? And so that's basically what I've spent a couple of weeks. It took me about a week or so, let's just say about a week or so to do it. And I was essentially, it basically is built on the foundations and pillars of 3 or 4, let's say, schools of thought, books and things like that, basically, plus obviously my own, you know, previous body of work that just got integrated into this new thing. So I shared a little bit of that. I literally got through about 5%, funnily enough, like literally after about an hour of me speaking. I don't know what I was speaking about in that first hour, but I literally had got through to 1 slide after about an hour. And so by the end of this 2-hour lecture last week, I get through to 2 slides. I showed 2 things, literally, in a 60-page document. You know, 18,000 words is what I wrote, or me and ChatGPT wrote, basically, over the course of a week. And so today we're going to be going through some of that. Again, we're not going to be going through everything, because obviously we're not going to go through 60 pages of a book. Obviously, this is not a book review in such. And this document is more of an internal document. It's more for my mind, because I'm going to be the practitioner that does certain treatments. Obviously, you know, at some point we're going to grow a team, but you know, for now, a lot of these modalities are going to be delivered by myself, my business partner, and a couple of other people in my team that we've, you know, that we're working with, basically. So that's what I did about 3 weeks ago. I think I completed it. Now time moves so fast. It was about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that I completed it. When I spoke on that lecture last week, I hadn't completed it. So sorry, when I spoke on that lecture 2 weeks ago, the document was completed, but I had some other ideas that I needed to add to it to make sure that, you know, we're able to take clients on at our wellness center and deliver a 5-star service and experience, basically. So that had been then some other processes. So where it has culminated. So in writing that document, this theory of wellness, is where I got inspired by this book. So this book is called Prologue. You can buy it on Amazon, by Christine Degoy. And so essentially it talks about life as a project. That's essentially what prologue means. I love people that make up their own words. She made up her own word called prologue. It's about understanding life as a project, and that all of the cells, all of the bacteria, the viruses, they have an idea in their mind of what they're looking to do. Their functionality, their form follows function. And so they have an idea, a blueprint. If you study someone called Michael Levin, he's like a world famous biologist who is pioneering and innovating in this field of biology. Like, quite a scary guy, but it is what it is. He understands what life means on a biological level, probably more than anyone in the world. Or he's up there. Let's just say he's up there. So he's pioneering work that no other laboratory does. Basically, he's a real scientist, and he shows and he proves time and time again with his theories or with his works, with his research papers, that even a single cell organism has a project in mind, has a project, and that project is encoded somehow. So either when you chop off an arm, or when you chop off the head and it grows back, it knows what it needs to grow, even though, you know, the information isn't necessarily there. So, you know, Rupert Sheldrake may talk about the morphogenetic field. So this is like, again, this kind of field that could also be spoken about as a blueprint to life, basically. So we all have a blueprint to life, and our body keeps a score. This is a famous book. Our body keeps a score. So one of my projects is to decode people's form, the form of their name, the form of their speech, the form of their body, the form of their eyes, the form of their house, the form of their such and such and so forth. And that form will allow me to understand function. That function then gives me a clue to the project. And then that project, once I speak to that person, allows me to understand how well in line, how syncretized they are to their project, from all of the thousands of clues that I'm able to garner through the works that I've done. So this book, she speaks the fact that she's going to produce it in 3 parts, and she already says that the next part is going to be more practical. So this book doesn't really have much practicality in it. Is definitely the theology or the theory of prologue. And then her next book will be more insightful. Her next book is not out. I have not read it. It's not out. I believe it's near. I believe it's drafted, or it's near. It's going to come out soon. And so, as anyone knows me, they know that I'm impatient, and I wouldn't just work off of one book anyway. There's, you know, again, my mind is too creative to just follow someone else word for word. That's just my personal where I like to move. And so I got inspired, like I knew I had to do it, but I basically got inspired to, not from this book, but from homeopathy, to create my own version of a rubrics, like a healing matrix. So if someone's got this and this and this and this and this and this and these 20 or 30 things, then it could indicate this. project, but we're not speaking about it from a sickness perspective. So in my language, in my theory of wellness, there is no such thing as disease. There is no such thing as bad. There is no such thing as, so it's inspired from my understanding of oneness. Okay, so if we're really about this oneness, how does this idea of oneness apply to wellness, to being this idea of being centered, to this idea of being at peace? How does that apply? And so all of the things that I've done are geared towards unlocking, unpicking, breaking down, formalizing this idea, basically. So I'm going to just share a couple of things with you now, and we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So yeah, let's share that there. Put this up there. Let's swap screens and put this back up here. No need for this to be done here. All right, cool. All right, yeah. So we're doing pretty well, people. We're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well. Smaller. Just setting up my screens as usual. Yeah, we'll just do that. Yeah, like I said, if anyone can like whilst they're waiting, you might as well smash that like button, as the young kids call it. Might as well smash that like button, and then we can get going. And then we don't need that there. All right, that's enough for me. All right, cool. That's fine. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, so people should be able to start seeing my screen. 3, 2, 1. Laptop webcam. All right, cool. So technology is working today. Technology is working today. All right, cool. So yeah, this basically is the like I said, the theory of wellness, a vibrological framework. Obviously, we're not going to read this stuff word for word. I actually do have a much more simpler document, but I'm kind of just going to skip through some key parts of that, basically. So yeah, again, for anyone that's not watched any of my videos, I've basically built my own theory of the universe. I feel like I have to say that when I say I've built my own stuff, like obviously I stand on the shoulders of giants and I get inspired by other people, and then I just put it into my own cosmic soup. Like, let's just say, put it that way. So there is nothing new under the sun. There isn't an assembly of a gathering, like a squirrel, like a gathering of information and putting it in together and then just speaking it in a tongue that may resonate with some people. So that's all I'm doing, really. It's nothing special. But I have come up with my own theory of wellness, or I've at least documented a theory of wellness. And again, I've spoken about this before, but essentially the universe exists to know itself. So in a universe that exists to know itself, then it speaks to the idea that the universe is a participatory universe, because the universe divided itself in order to study itself. That's essentially what it is. But that division is a division of illusion, and every soul is essentially looking to return back to source at some point. So this is not anything new that some people may be hearing. This is firmly, so my philosophy for life, or my theory of life, is specifically rooted in idealism. Is specifically rooted in idealism, which has been around for thousands of years. So nothing new there. The only thing that I could say that I've added to it is that I also believe that we've come down here to answer a divine question, and that divine question, I believe it's based on why we came down here in the first place, and that is to answer, who am I? So I'm basically saying that the universe is conscious. The universe, the universe is mental. Again, of course, I've not created that. So in a universe that is mental, with consciousness being the fundamental matter, basically, or being fundamental to matter, the prime substance, basically. So consciousness is the prime substance in a universe that is mental. And so in order for that first spark, that evolutionary spark, was the divine, the universal mind, asking a question: who am I? And that's basically my theory. So I'm not going to go into it. Like it's yeah, there's other videos where I speak about that, but basically that's what it's essentially like. So what stimulates life to emerge, evolve, and reflect upon itself? How does attention shape reality? Let's just make this bigger as well. Why not? And then we just basically speak about the fact that life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. Life is a feedback loop. That's essentially what life is. So yeah, we speak about this again. I've spoken about this before, so I'm not going to stick on it for too long. I'll just show you this for 1 second and just say that was basically my first model. So when I first got inspired. So this was me, like, again, just, you know, as everyone has epiphanies and stuff. So my epiphany came in the symbol of the infinity symbol. So I was just reflecting on the infinity symbol. And then as you can see with this infinity symbol, it looks like glasses as well. And so it's, you know, the universe reflecting and looking back on itself in the spectacle, like the spectacle. And spec is obviously associated with light, the I am. So this is the cycle of life. So essentially, we're just talking about the cycle of life. So at any point in life, we are at a phase of who am I, and I am. And that allows us to excite, explore, and exploit, basically. So yeah, this is my theory of the universe. And what I would say the contribution is the questions. Understanding life through the questions, or the two questions, and then the state of being where you're no longer questioning, you just are being. That's basically my little contribution to the story of philosophy, basically. So yeah, anyway, let's keep it moving. So my whole point is, now the reason why this is there, by the way, is that everything that I do is based on the why. So I wouldn't get out of bed if I didn't know why. That's just me personally. So until I can answer the question, why are we here, I'm not going to be motivated to do anything in life, especially anything special. If I didn't have that question wrapped up, I would say that my drive in life has come from me trying to understand that question. And also, really, as well, as I'll speak about next week, what happens when we die. So why are we here, and what happens when we die, have been the two major drivers in my life personally, in terms of, you know, knowledge seeking, essentially. And so next week we speak about what happens when we die, by the way. So yeah, I just realized that this week answers one question, the next week answers the other second most important question. So yeah, I didn't even realize that until now. So cool. And then we're going to skip down. And then, yeah, like I said, we spoke about prologue. And so that human systems are coherent when they honor the interdependence of matter, energy, and information. So this is direct from the book almost. And so yeah, these are just some of the key models from the book, basically. So yeah, it's a fantastic book. Definitely. The reason why I enjoy the book is because it speaks to this theme. It speaks directly to this theme. So what I'm trying to say is, your belief system is going to dictate everything you do. So my belief system is cored and centered around oneness and stimulation theory. And so if I'm coming up with a wellness philosophy, it needs to be coherent with the most fundamental aspects of my understanding of how the universe and the world and myself works. And I'm saying that this prologue book fits like a glove. Just like, literally, that's essentially what I'm saying. It fits like a glove. So yeah, that's what we're basically can't make that smaller. And whatever. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I was reading the chat. All right, cool. So, and yeah. So that's what it does. So it has this idea, it has many ideas, but one of the key ideas it has is this idea of globality, basically. And so globality is like what we would call synergy, where you are more than the sum of your parts. So one of the things that we teach, obviously, in our life coaching practices, and you know, I've dropped loads of videos on it by now, is how to get into flow states. The lived the lived experience, the lived experience of what happens when you're living in a flow state is that the universe works with you instead of against you, and you feel it, you know it. Everything becomes easy is a strong word, because I'm in a flow state right now, and today was like, whew, 100 miles an hour. I was running 100 miles an hour in a flow state. You know, I had to take some pauses at certain times because I could feel it being a lot. Like, you know, the vibration was heavy. The energy was a heavy energy. It wasn't a light energy, but energy has the ability to transform. And so we just understand things at its polarity, you know, at the spectrum, basically. So yeah, that's all there is. Yeah, hopefully my stream, just let me know, people, if anything's going on with my stream. I just saw a warning on my thing. There's not much I can really do about it now, quite honestly. We're kind of in the flow of things, but yeah, we keep it moving. So yeah, like I said, Prologue is one of these center books. We've obviously got Sing the Body Electric. How I don't have a copy right here right now with me, but yeah, so Sing the Body Electric is obviously the book from the app, or the biocoherence. There you go. So we've obviously got the biocoherence devices, which is the biofeedback devices that does the reading of energy and then also plays the sound frequencies, or the frequencies for healing and balancing and harmonizing. And so this Sing the Body Electric book is basically an instruction book with, you know, 1 or 2 chapters on some philosophies and theories. But yeah, obviously that's really important. Obviously, again, just to be clear, I'm the, you know, only distributor, or definitely, I believe the only distributor that's live right now in the UK, and obviously the first distributor in the UK to go live with this. So yeah, you know, it is what it is there. And then the foundation, really, Bioenergetics, one of the early books on, one of the early reference books on understanding your system from an energetic perspective. So these 4 books, I would say, or these 3 books plus my own theory, has made up my theory of wellness. And the theory of wellness basically has distilled itself into 4 pillars. So yeah, just to be clear, I'll just show you something little. So yeah, as people know, I'm all about building tables of correspondence. This is like literally one of my jobs. It almost feels like a job at this point. Definitely a skill and a vocation then, at the very least. But yeah, definitely one of the things that I do a lot with my time is build tables. And so yeah, obviously just putting a quick key correspondence table of the key themes of my philosophy and where I've been inspired from, because again, you know, no man is an island, and I stand on the shoulders of giants. So shout out to the people that have, you know, come before me. Basically, we honor the ancestors, of course. And so yeah, what all of that basically is then goes into the 4 themes of, I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you can see that. And if you can't, you didn't see it, I don't know. I know, obviously I can't see the I can't see it. I don't have a 180 neck. But yeah, if you didn't see it, it basically speaks to these 4 themes as well. And we're basically saying that everything that we're doing is built on the 4 pillars of loving life. Can we make this bigger? Yeah, no, we can't. Yeah, so it's based on these 4 pillars here. Basically, I'll just highlight it here for you quickly. So yeah, it's based on these 4 pillars to love life. And I'm essentially saying that these are the what I call the 4 keys, or the 3 jewels. So the 3 jewels, as I had before, was love, wisdom, and power. And and we just added an extra word, an activating word before it. So we're saying loving life, we're saying seeking wisdom. And originally, just by the way, just to be clear, by the way, we had express power, or we just had power. So we had love, wisdom, and power. These were my 3 jewels that I've had as part of, you know, the philosophy that I've been teaching for, you know, like a year now, maybe a couple of years even. Well, at least a couple of years for myself personally, and then obviously to the world for like a year or so. I'm not sure. But it was like, you know, it's a foundational piece that we teach basically. Like, if you can get these 3 keys to life, if you can master love, if you can master wisdom, can't really master wisdom, but yeah, if you can master love, if you can, you know, gain some wisdom, and then you know how to tap into your power, then what more really do you need? Like, everything else will, I would say, manifest and flow from that basically. And then what that will allow you to do is have peace. Have peace. And so at the top of my food chain, just for anyone that's, again, anyone that's new, I'm just going to be a bit more respectful for the people that are new, that have never watched me before. So one of my specialities, or one of the things that I do, is just build frameworks. Like, I just build frameworks. I've got so many frameworks. I'm actually going to show you some frameworks. I actually did something as well. Like, I've built a framework reference book, because I've just got so many frameworks, I was losing count. So I needed to put them all in one place. So I'll just show you a quick thing just to show what I'm talking about when I talk about peace. So yeah, my trip to Thailand, where I went to see my brother and stay in the monastery, I came back and got another epiphany, got like another download on the plane. Again, traveling opens up your mind. They do say that, and I am literally a living embodiment of that. Probably should travel more, but hey ho, who knows? Maybe we'll get an opportunity to do it even more in the future. Just trying to bring down something on my mouse. There you go. There you go. Cool. All right. There you go. All right. So again, I've got videos on this already, so I can't show this for long, because at some point I'll start referencing, and I'll start putting I'll start putting links to important videos that I know I'm going to reference. So if I was more prepared, I would do things like that and have these links for people to, you know, follow or just watch later and something like that in their YouTube. But basically, this is what I call my dependent origination. So anyone that's into Buddhism, the Buddha's major epiphany. So when he got enlightened, he had this epiphany, which was understanding his version of the tree of life, or the cycle of life, essentially, basically causality, cause and effect. And so on my way back from Thailand, I didn't even know this at the time, by the way. This was something that got revealed to me a week after by my brother, when I told him that I built this thing that was inspired by my trip. He then said, "Oh wow, you do know that the Buddha's his first thing he did when he got enlightened, or when he got enlightened, this was what he saw." I was like, yeah, oh, that's mad. So anyway, it is what it is. So basically, it starts from creation. Obviously, it has to start from creation, and it ends in peace. So again, if anyone wants to take a screenshot of this, this is my version of the tree of life. It's pretty comprehensive. There was a time, I have literally 4 videos on this. So 4 like 2-hour videos where I talk about this. I talk about it once in whole, and then I break down these colors. So I'll, in about 4 weeks, over 4 weeks, I kind of broke down it in its sections, in its 5 sections. Plus I gave an overall kind of view basically. So yeah, if anyone wants to look at that, you can just find it in the chat somewhere. Just find it on my channel somewhere basically, or ask me and I'll send it to you. All right, cool. But anyway, the whole point is at the top, one of the things that prologue does really well is it talks about hierarchy. Like, what's at the top of your food chain. So what I was saying basically is, when I'm observing people now, what this document allowed me to do real crystal clear is just get more peace and way more understanding of people. All right, it's not readable. All right, I'll make it go a bit bigger then. All right, cool. Obviously, some people on a laptop, some people on their phone. I don't know if you're on your phone trying to say it's not readable, but yeah, it's fine. All right, cool. So I'll just quickly go through it. So this is the top. So there's 20. 20 is the number of duality, by the way, just to let you know. But yeah, so there's 20 things, or 20 steps, you could say, or 20 parts of this, what we call causation. And so yeah, this is it for me. I'm obviously going from down to the top. So I'm just skipping through it quickly. Obviously, I'm not going to teach any of this stuff now. But obviously, I did say there was a meaning crisis. So obviously, at the number 7, we, is our contribution to understanding the meaning crisis, for example. And then you've got the stimulation theory, which is, this understanding. But essentially, I'm saying that's what's rooted at my belief system is oneness. So oneness is at the root of my belief system. And so suffering comes from, so obviously if you know anything about Buddhism, it talks about suffering a lot, how to reduce, avoid, decrease, end suffering. And so I'm basically saying, because they've got something different, they talk about ignorance, which I understand, but it's just not in my language that resonates with me a lot or as much. Peace, 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 King Supreme in the building, legend in the building. It's all good, man. That's what the replay button's for. So yeah, we're still warming up, to be honest. We're actually still warming up. I'm actually speaking about what happened 2 weeks ago. So I know you was definitely there last 2 weeks ago. So we're still gonna segue into next week, or what today's about shortly. But I've got a lot of new people basically are gonna be watching this video because it's gonna be one of those reference videos. So yeah, just giving a bit of a preview and a segue into it. So yeah, I'm essentially saying that separation, the illusion of separation, is where the suffering is if someone has a belief of oneness. So what I basically teach is that you should have your own optimal prime system. So what if I asked you what your purpose is? What is your purpose? If I said what is your number one thing in your belief system, you should have an answer. If I said what is the one thing that you desire, you should have an answer. And I'm not saying like you should, like you have to, but it would make your life much more coherent and give you way more clarity if you knew why you existed, i.e., what is the reward and what is the promise. If you follow my channel, like, how dare I go on YouTube talking about I am trying to help people if I don't understand where I'm trying to take them? So I'm saying that if you follow my channel, if you subscribe to me, my whole ethos, my whole being is about returning to source. Next week, trust me, people, you're gonna want to watch that video. It's gonna be one of the the only thing is you would have to be into listening to a story. Like what I'm gonna explain is almost gonna be like a movie. So if you're not into watching movies, if you just want to get to the point, you're looking for the point, that's more what today's about. And even today, I go around the houses, like it's just me. Like, so like unless you guys are used to that, then it's not a channel for you. But we break things down, we allow things to marinate, different ideas to come up and uprise, and obviously we go with the flow with stuff. So like, where are we trying to take people? Trying to take people to the promised land. What is the promised land? The land where you return to source and find peace. Basically it. So and so then that's why you now see peace. So one of the epiphanies that just happened literally as a result of me building this document. Just literally as a result of me building this document, one of the epiphanies, I just realized this ain't even the full version. One of the epiphanies was that power is a privilege. With power comes responsibility. So I'm saying that we want to emanate our power from a place of peace. What would be dangerous is if you didn't understand and know peace. If you didn't know peace and you were expressing power, you could do a lot of destruction. Like, there's a lot of destruction that you could have from this power. So with this power is a great responsibility, is a great privilege, is a great pressure. And the way in which you wield this power, I would say best, is when you wield it from a place of a knowing peace. A knowing peace. Hence why one of the things that inspired me in my trip to Thailand was this lady that had been meditating for 10 years, 6 hours every day. And she was like, there's no point in doing anything else in life until you can hit hit a level of peace. Now, she didn't say this, by the way, but I'm literally taking what I took from it and why she would meditate for 6 hours a day, because she had to reach this level. And I'm basically saying that this level was a sense of peace. Like, there's a Buddhist word for it, but I'm not going to get into any Buddhist words. Not today's not the day for it. Buddhist peace. And so that's what we want to do. And then once we know our peace, we then are able to express our power in a way that actually works towards the infinite. So as I always talk about the infinite games versus finite games, like, what game are you playing? So obviously I only teach you how to play an infinite game. And that infinite game can only be, the playing field for that infinite game has to be founded on peace. Otherwise it will burn. Your willpower, your firepower will burn bright, but it will also burn quick. And so when you tap into your peace, everlasting peace essentially is what we're talking about. So yeah, that's that there. So yeah, we're kind of now getting into I'm just going to show one more thing, and then we're just going to get into I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to look for it, but giving you all the words and stuff. All right, cool. So where is it? Yeah, no, this is important. Again, like, yeah, so I showed this last week. This is how much, just to be clear, last week I spoke for 3 hours. I don't know what I spoke. Sorry, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think I spoke for last week. I have no idea what I was speaking about. Sorry, 2 weeks ago. But all I know is I only got up to here. In terms of showing stuff, I only got up to here. So I basically said, show this quickly, is that we're just talking about the binary code. So they normally talk about the binary code, which is 100. So yeah, we obviously talk about the binary code. You know, most people know about the binary code, ones and zeros. You know, if you follow my channel, you probably know about this stuff, you know. But anyway, we're basically saying that the universe is created off of the 1 and the 0. The binary code. The O, the closed system, and the open system. And what I've worked out, and I swear I had never heard anyone mention this before. Like, I literally felt like I had imagined and just worked this out. And it's cool. It's just beautiful when you work something out, and then that opens up a gateway. Like, this is what we're talking about in terms of creating your own reality. I genuinely, hand on heart, will say that I was like, it's not a binary system. It's a trinary system. So the system isn't a binary system. It's not a double system, by the way. Just let's use some English words. It's not a 2 system of 1 and 0. That 1 represents 2 ones. Just like in the Fibonacci sequence, you have 0, 1, 1, which is 2. And so that zero, that those 2 ones, one represents the +1 and the other one represents the -1. So then we're saying that what we're basically saying with this is that the universe, so this would be the 0 point. Wherever the 0 point is, you know, there is, anyway, we know it's against quantum physics quickly, but wherever the 0 is, it makes no difference. Like, let's just say it just makes no difference. We just have a 0, the starting point. And life, basically, when we're thinking of linear time, so what we're saying is that linear time people think that you have 0 and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But we know that life is a spiral, and that life is spitting out a ray that is omnidirectional, multi-directional. But just because we're using numbers and metaphors, and these are symbols, remember, these are symbols. These are not necessarily reality. These are symbols. We're basically saying that the +1 goes that way and the -1 goes that way. Again, my screens are kind of reversed. It doesn't really matter which way, but we're saying 1 goes that way and 1 goes the other way. And that's how we're doing it. So that one is created from its center point. Just that alone can unlock a portal within you. Just that shift in understanding symbology, that symbolic shift of going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 0, 1 linear time to divine time, allows you to get real deep into this stuff. Will unlock things within you, is what I'm saying. Ever since I've mentioned that +1, -1, I've heard 2, 3 people mention it, or just me seeing it referenced somewhere else or something like that. But up until then, it wasn't part of my reality, so I never had that as part of my reality. I had something else as part of my reality. Of course, absolutely. Like a seed grows up and down after sprouting, absolutely. So when you see the roots, you see it go up, you see it go down. You know, we love those images. So again, the cycle of life. All right, cool. All right, so what we're basically saying is, so now this is actually getting into wellness. This is all about wellness, by the way. So this sounds like it's like real metaphysical, but I'm saying that this is how I build the blueprints for my theory of wellness, or a theory of wellness. This is how I build the foundations, basically. And so what we're just understanding, all I need to then do when I'm understanding wellness is understand open systems and closed systems. An open system is not good and a closed system is not good. So again, we're not saying which system is better. We're just understanding this as a dynamic rhythm, as a dynamic interplay of energy, is what we're saying basically. And so a too open system equals chaos, and a too closed system equals death. And so what we want to do is we want to tap into a fractal rhythm. That is what health is. So my definition of health is a fractal rhythm. I feel like I could add another word, because you want it to be coherent as well, in fairness. I feel like it's my theory. I can do whatever I want, mate. Coherent, a fractal coherent rhythm, or a coherent fractal rhythm. You understand? That's basically what we're saying. And so this was where I ended the lecture last week. I don't know how I've got it. So this is where I ended the lecture last week. And I basically spoke about what we need to do more is tap into our first nature, basically. So this is understanding the system as a hierarchy, and in integrated information theory, you know, they or just any computer theory, they talk about first order, second order, third order, i.e. the hierarchy of things, basically. And so what I'm all of the wellness devices and all of the technologies that I work on a first nature first. So one of, like, I enjoy saying, I won't say I enjoy it, but like I just always have to be let it known that I'm not trained in any particular, you know, I didn't study 7 years to be a doctor. So like, how dare someone like myself try and help someone when I don't have the qualifications to, or the credibility to like back up anything, basically. Like, who am I, essentially? You know, would be a real reasonable question to ask. Like, why me? And what I'm essentially not trying to do is understand the individual after effect of a disease. I'm looking to understand the root cause. And what I'm basically saying is that there is a funnel of complexity when it comes to your health, your wellness, and to life. So there is a funnel of complexity that is ingrained within the blueprint. So the blueprint in itself, this morphogenetic field, the resonant field, this morphogenetic field, it has in it complexity, or the potential for complexity. But it starts real simple. Single cell organism, one circle, vesica piscis, so on and so forth. And so all I really need to do, or all I'm specifically doing, is focusing on technologies that are based on first nature systems. All of my technologies that I've bought are first nature openers, first nature openers. That's essentially what they are. So blocked energy and all of these kind of things and all these kind of terminologies, these are first nature, or at least closer to the first nature. And so when we're understanding the universe, we're just understanding it from its levels of creation. Hence why at the beginning of my version of the universe obviously has to start with creation. I've got my own acronym for that, one of my frameworks for that, but I'm going to get into it today. And in that creation, you have light and you have sound and you have forms. So I'm not going to say which one comes first. I can just say there's another trinity there of sound, light, and form. They are consubstantial, linked together, interlinked. You know, they depend on each other, basically, consubstantial. And so all of my technologies are based on those three things, just to be clear, because I'm looking to tap into your prime energies and cohere from there, bring coherence to that, and then build our way out. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to move on to the main part of today's presentation, let's just call it. All right, cool. So I don't really need to get anything to build up to this. Let me just get it up as well, just so I'm prepped as well. Just bring it down to the screen. All right, cool. So there it is. All right, cool. So this was definitely inspired by the Prologue book, basically. I'm going to turn the light on. There you go. Let there be light. Let there be light. All right. So yeah, obviously it just went from sun to dark. Yeah, it's getting a bit dark. All right, cool. So I can't remember what page. Now, this is what we mean by divine inspiration. When you're tapping into your creator self, the wise only need a hint. One of my favorite sayings. Where I got it from, I can't remember by now, to be honest, quite honestly. But yeah, the wise only need a hint. So my favorite, what I give a lot of advice away, like for free. Like I just, people ask me questions. Obviously, people, may know what I'm about. They may ask me questions, just naturally. And I just give it away. It's just information. Is what we're basically saying is it's information, but it's what you do with it. And this here is a what this is a classic example of taking something that is just a seed of information. Like in the book, it doesn't really go into it whatsoever. It says it in one sentence and then completely moves on to something else. It was just almost like a throwaway comment, or it was leading up to something else, basically. It wasn't really the main point of even the paragraph. It wasn't even a paragraph. It was just a sentence that was in the book. And it made me just pause. It made me just like, of course. It was so simple, by the way. Obviously, I'm going to reveal it. But it's why we're doing today's lecture, and it just sparked this journey that I took to deliver today to you. So obviously, as I've already said, hence why this is a segue, this first part was a segue. We just said that the universe exists to know itself, and so the fundamental matter, or the fundamental substrate of the universe, is consciousness. The universe is mental. All right, cool. So in a universe that's mental, so I had this statement, in a universe that's mental, the only thing of value is your attention. I used to say this, like I was saying this for maybe 2 years. Like my book was literally, that was literally like the book that I've drafted that's still not published, but the book that I wrote like almost 2 years ago now. I will publish it one day, like, you know, it will get published. But anyway, in the book that I wrote, like literally at one point the subheading was, or like the first line to the book is, in a universe that is mental, the only thing of value is your attention. And so I had that as obviously a cornerstone key prime statement. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been obsessed. You could argue obsessed, or at least a subconscious driver. Like I said, my entry into spirituality was dreams of death. Yeah, so I just like, yeah, literally I could just feel, yeah, I could just feel my energies just switched. Yeah, my energy just switched. So I was just respecting that moment. And it needed me to just switch what I was going to say before to something else, which obviously now I know what I'm going to say. So my spark into the awareness, into this idea of know thyself, or self-reflection, is what happens when we die. That was my question. And that question arises from my reoccurring dreams of death when I'm about 8 years old. I don't know how old. 8, maybe younger. I'm gonna guess maybe even younger. In fairness, maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe 8. So anyway, I have many dreams of death. I'm not gonna explain them again. I've explained it maybe once or twice on different videos. But I have these dreams of death, and obviously it questions, you know, brings this question: what happens when we die? So next week's video, as I said, will be on that specifically and answering that question specifically, but this segues very nicely into that and gives you, okay, cool. Well, we'll worry about what happens when you die later, is what I'm basically saying for now. What I'm basically saying is, what should we be focused on in this life? So I start with love life. You know, my philosophy is, you know, the 4 pillars of what we're doing. It starts with love life. So what should we be doing whilst we have this life? What is the purpose? And I'm trying to come up with generic things as well. Like obviously everyone is going to have their individualized story, 100%, no ifs or buts. But is there, in the understanding of oneness, in the understanding of the universe existing to know itself, is there a universal point, or is everything just meaningless? Essentially, this is what we're kind of trying to tap into. And what I've switched is, I'm basically saying this statement. So in a mental universe, the only true currency is consciousness. That's how it kind of started. I think, okay, cool. Now you kind of need to go back before even attention. It's kind of like me throwing away attention and be like, no, attention is not enough. So in this book, it just said this line. And so it was like, what we're looking to do is increase the quality of our consciousness. I can't remember how it said it or where it said it. Like I'll need to reread it or something. But it's early on in the book. Like I said, it was like a throwaway comment. And I'm like, I don't know why I haven't really put it into that. Again, everything for me is like about nuance. So I've not quite ever put it like that so beautifully and so simply. I always look for reductionism, simplicity, because I'm trying to get to the prime. And so I'm basically saying that the only thing of value, the only currency of value that we should be focused on is the quality, is raising, improving, increasing, understanding the quality of our consciousness. So simple. It's I can't believe. I love the fact that you know, got grey hairs, and I get blown away by the simplicity of the universe's message. You know, that I read in a book. So I didn't make this up. But what I was able to do with that, I was like, okay, so if we're trying to increase the quality of consciousness. Oh yeah, just by the way, what I'm essentially saying is the only thing you take with you when you die is your consciousness. Just to be real clear. Sorry, apologies. Let's join that dot. Just to make sure we're not leaving anything on the table. I'm basically saying that, well, we'll worry about what happens when you die next week. But for now, whilst I'm alive, I know for a fact that the only thing I can take with me is my consciousness. So what else can I do but improve the quality of it? Because the quality of my consciousness is definitely improved, and it's not big-headed. It's definitely improved since I was 8 years old. I can tell you that one. My quality of consciousness has improved since I was 8 years old. And at what point do you stop? Because like I said, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, some people will like see how fast my brain works, and like I'm ridiculously like, I'm a go-getter basically. I'm a have it all kind of person basically. And it's like, oh, when are you gonna stop? Like I've had people say this to me, when are you gonna stop? And I was like, never. Like, why would I stop for? Like, stop doing what? Like, loving life. What do you want me to stop? Do you have a problem with me? Like, again, like, it's just people just like seeing how I move. Like, if anyone observed my day to day on how I was moving, yeah, basically, like, you know, it's everyone has their own walk and his own, and you know what I mean. So I can't walk in other people's shoes, and some people can't walk in my shoes. I'm just like just giving it like that. So it's because people wait. Basically, there are people that are waiting to catch up to where I am. And so me moving so quickly doesn't allow people to keep pace with me, basically. And so I'm not saying that from a bad perspective, but from a teaching perspective, that's why we got the YouTube videos. I'll say this today. I'm so happy I've got 37, probably 38 YouTube videos where I can just be like, yeah, that thing that you said, I already covered that. That one thing that you're going through, that problem, I've already covered that. I'm reading the chat. Too funny. King Supreme's too funny. Because there, what was I saying? Sorry. What was I saying? Yeah. You've got this problem. That problem that you've got, I've been thinking about for 10 years. And I've distilled it in this 3-hour video. Go watch that. But right now, I'm about 20 things past that. That was my 10th video. Like, you know, I keep things moving. So basically, so essentially, why would I stop improving the quality of my consciousness? Now becomes the answer. If I felt like answering, I don't have to answer. But if I felt like answering to someone that was like, why don't you just almost retire from this knowledge, retire from this, like just chill, just take a chill pill, just go sit on the beach and just chill, whatever. Because I'm looking to create experiences which improve the quality of my consciousness. This for me, again, I'm giving this guys to you guys as a gift. If you choose to receive it because it resonates with you. If it doesn't resonate with you, then it doesn't resonate with you. But I'm saying me, if you ask me what my purpose is, just my generic answer, I can't, if I don't want to get into specifics, because I've got way more specific stuff than that. If I don't want to go to a granular level, I'm saying it's to create experiences, create realities, create stories, however which one I might say. I might change it up, switch it up, you know, me with my lingo, that allow me to improve the quality of my consciousness. And because I believe in oneness, and it's a belief, I'm going to use that word belief, because I believe in oneness, I can say I've experienced it, but I can also just use the word belief. Because I believe in oneness, by me doing that, I am also helping the quote unquote you in this language of separation. Obviously, I'll use the English language. It's a language of separation, of course, like all other languages are. And so we are experimenting. Yeah, we'll take that. We're experimenting with this idea of what can we do to improve the quality of our consciousness. What can I do to improve the quality of your consciousness? Like I said, the technologies that I'm working with and just my business partner's path in this particular wellness center. Yo, I love doing that. Wellness center. It's such a strong symbol. Like this is the best thing I've ever created in terms of like symbology. Like, yeah, just beautiful, man. We're really enjoying looking at it. So, like I said, we will be dealing with a lot of extreme cases. Like our first clients that we're working with are cancer patients. And, you know, I don't promise miracles. I just say that we work in a space where miracles can happen. You know, we will do our best and we work in a space where miracles can happen. So if the doctor's telling you this thing can't happen, let's just try something to see if we can do something that makes that statement, where we can laugh at that statement, you know, in the future, basically. So if you're open-minded to a possibility of miracles happening, then we'll just do that. And in that way, I'm not putting pressure on the situation where we're now introducing more closeness into the system, more tension into the system. I'm just saying, do you believe in miracles? Because if you don't, then we can still work with you, but it would help if your mind was open to the idea of being able to heal itself once it's in the right environment. Basically, because obviously we can't do any healing. We can only put environments, inject environments into your space that then become what? Information that will allow your project to change. And so it goes from the project of death to the project of life. That's essentially what we're trying to do. So, yeah. I did my business card today and I had to put like my title. I was like, what title should I put? Alchemist made it. I had to put 3 titles. One of them was just like real funny. Like I was just playing with it. So it's only a business card. Who cares? But yeah, one of the titles was Alchemist. I'm in the chat, by the way. So someone just said Alchemist. So yeah, that was one of the titles I put on the business card. I was like, yeah, I got to put that there. So anyway, all right, cool. So what we do basically is we're shifting. I'm just now going to read from the webcam. I'm just going to go switch the cam. All right, cool. So we're not here. So basically, I say yeah. So in a universe that is mental, the only true currency is the only true currency is consciousness, and its worth is measured by the depth, clarity, and coherence of your awareness. We are not here to merely manage reality. We are here to conduct it. In this model, we shift from generic ideas of spiritual growth into the applied refinement of awareness. Your consciousness is not a passive observer. Please, people in the back, listen to this. Your consciousness is not a passive observer. It is the vibrational sculptor of your experience. Shout out to ChatGTP. And the quality, your qualia, is now measurable. So when I first started it, by the way, I had the word quality of your experience. But this word qualia is like an old school, like Greek word. So you know how like you've got knowledge. Obviously, I call myself No, like Leon Noble with the G. So the same way how you've got like the modern day, the connotative version. So yeah, the connotative The later day version of knowledge mainly just means information. It's just a synonym. It's just become a synonym for information. Whereas back in the day, knowledge meant gnosis, which was about wisdom. So knowledge back in the day meant wisdom. So what we're basically saying is that that word quality has a lot of meaning in there, but the word qualia goes into like a philosophy. So we now go from like an idea into a whole philosophy, a whole body of basically work. So yeah, we'll just read it just real basically, just like what does qualia mean? Just we'll keep it real simple. So yeah, qualia is, or the mind. So basically, the philosophy of mind, qualia are defined as instances of subject consciousness experiences. So we're talking about conscious experiences specifically. So when we're talking about qualia, we're not talking about any type of quality. So if I just use the word quality of consciousness, then, you know, it does a good job. But the qualia, it goes more deeper. It goes more into specifically experiences. And again, the universe exists to know itself, and it can only know itself through what? Experiences. Yeah, shout out to King Supreme. So absolutely, we're talking about experiences. And so in this concept, again, in my stimulation theory, this concept of the universe, I'm basically speaking about the fact that the universe couldn't just exist in a mental state, in the state of ideas. How can you have all of this power and only stay in the realm of ideas? You know? So I'm just saying that somehow, I'm not trying to say like I understand it all or I explain it all, but I definitely understand that the realm of ideas is limited. You can only do so much in the realm of ideas. And so this, you could in theory know everything and know nothing. And so the only way to know something is to, at the very least, experience. And so that is what the word qualia, qua, qua. So I'm just going to do something quickly. I can't help myself. I'm just going to do something quickly. I'm just going to look at the etymology because King Supreme said something about. I'm fact checking you, King Supreme. I'm fact checking you. I'm literally fact checking you. I didn't know my screen was checking. Yeah. So qua, the capacity of, as being. So yeah, that's hard still. Yeah. Capacity. The capacity to be. Yo, that's hard. Qua. Shout out to Talu Kwali. That is hard. It's K, by the way, KW, but anyway, you get it. Wow. That's hard. I did not know that. So I learned something. I learned something today. Again, I learned something. So thank you very much for that share. I did not know that. That is beautiful. I'm not gonna forget that, by the way. So yeah, that's beautiful. And so what we're basically saying is that I've come up with a formula to measure the quality of your consciousness. Just to be very specific, what I've come up with is a formula where you can literally measure, or I can, because yeah, I'd say I can because I've been doing it. I can now measure the quality of your consciousness. Basically, that's essentially it. So yeah, 100%. All right, cool. So consciousness is the only thing you take with you. Let's make sure we're sharing our screen again. Yeah, so consciousness is the only thing that you take with you. And so that makes QC. So I've just abbreviated quality of consciousness as QC. So in my formula, QC means quality of consciousness. That makes quality of conscious the only, I should actually put this, that makes quality of consciousness the only eternal metric. Not for judgment, but for resonant evolution. We're not here to merely manage reality. We're here to conduct it. in a mental universe, your qualia, the felt textures, again, the experience, that felt texture, that's a beautiful phrase, that felt texture of your inner experiences are truly the currency of existence. All right, so then now, boop, 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 boop. When I meant a formula, I did actually mean a formula, people. Like, I weren't joking. Just in case you thought I was just going to come up with like a something that weren't a formula. So yeah, it's a formula. So don't worry, it's what the video's for. We're going to break it down. I'm not a mathematician. Shout out to ChatGPT Advanced Reasoning, because I basically put all the formulas together and I was like, yeah, just slap this into a formula for me, please. Just like put it into a formula. But again, what I always speak about, and you lot can just absorb this whilst I'm speaking. What I'm basically speaking about, yeah, Rhythm made it as well, by the way. Rhythm made it as well into my titles. I did 3 titles and Rhythm made it on my last one. That was a funny one because I put a word next to it. That was just funny. But yeah, something about rhythm, something about alchemist, and then one more. So anyway, whatever. So yeah, basically this formula, what I did, and it's real important, I can't help myself, but obviously I work with ChatGPT a lot. There's no way I'm able to write 60 words, 60 pages, 20,000 words of a document in, I'm not joking, by the way, I actually did it in a day. I don't know why I said a week for, because I refined it over a week, but the base structure of the document, of which I got up to at least 18,000 words, was done within a day, and I actually took things out and deleted things, but I had like over 20,000 words easily, actually, really. And I did that in a day, and I'm just saying I would not be able to do that without ChatGPT. So what I enjoy is, because some people are scared of technology. It's like, oh yeah, you're not using it, we're going to get dumbed down and create it. No, I'm a creator. So this is my tool. I understand how to work with ChatGPT, so it becomes a tool of my creations. And so when you're looking at this title, and I was like, oh, I worked with ChatGPT, it definitely did put this formula together, but I refined it about 7 times because I knew what I wanted. And I was breaking down and I was adding to the formula. So it didn't start off like this. My original formula was not this. When I was like, oh, ChatGPT, put these constructs, these coefficients into a formula. Because obviously I'm not a mathematician. Genuinely, I'm not a mathematician. So I wouldn't know how to do that. Or I want the most optimal version. I'm obviously going to go to the most advanced version of ChatGPT that I have to make sure that we come up with something that is coherent. And so that's all it was able to do. But then we refined it over time to then get to this. So obviously each one of these letters mean everything. You've discussed, you obviously know that this means quality of consciousness. And most people could probably guess that this means energy. So yeah, energy's in there. So energy's in there. What I'm gonna do one day when I teach this to a live audience and I actually have time is I'll give a prize. I'll give a prize out to, I should have done it at the start, actually. That would have been so cool. I'll give a prize out to anyone that can guess these acronyms. Like if you say like you could guess these acronyms the most, or what these words are, because these are all words that you know, basically. Nothing's technical in here, basically. Like the key ingredients, basically. So what are the ingredients to this formula? It would have been pretty dope for me to ask that to see how many people were on it. Obviously, energy is one thing. I'm actually going to ask this to a couple of people tomorrow, by the way, just for the fun of it. That's how I catch my jokes in life. All right, cool. Anyway, so what's this formula all about? Let's get rid of that now. All right, cool. And then that's just how it's written, obviously. All right. So what we're saying is that the quality of your consciousness, your attention and energy. So this is energy. So yeah, energy, intention, attention. So attention times by coherence times by resonance divided by the resistance to your expansion. Yo, this formula, I swear down, family. I swear down. Yo, let me get the camera. I swear down, family. Like, I'm not joking. This formula here, yeah, is a key to life. I guarantee it. I know there's going to be other formulas and there's other things and there's other modalities, but like, it's about implementation and experimentation, as someone just said, and experience. And I'm saying that if I can do a good enough job, it's my job to try and simplify and just break down these elements. That's what that's what this last part of this video is about, obviously. But I'm genuinely saying that if you can understand this or understand this, then let me know after you've applied it whether the quality of your consciousness is improved and how that's actually impacted your life. That's what I want to hear from people, is those kind of stories. So yeah, this is like, again, you don't have to do nothing with anything. You could just ignore this video, watch another million videos like we all do. But we could also just take these ideas, if we so get inspired, you know, I'll do my part basically, which is try to inspire. And then, you know, if we can, you can take a run with it. So we're basically saying that with all of these things are the elements to how you improve the quality of your consciousness. And yeah, like I said, it evolved over time. And so yeah, this is where we are basically now with it. So the variable definitions, so we'll just get into it basically. So we've just deciphered obviously quality of consciousness. We've spoken about that already. So we've spoken about it being an experience, the depth of your experience. The depth of your experience. That's a real big key. The depth of your experience. Like, go on, I'll do it. I'm going to show you lot something. Beautiful loop theory. I'm going to just try and show you this beautiful document. So again, I've come up with my idea of consciousness for a long time, but then obviously once I put a signal out into the universe, you know, the universe speaks back. And so when I was listening to other theories of the universe after I'd created mine, about 6 months later, this one comes out, which is called the beautiful loop. This is incredible. And basically literally just speaks exactly, like literally the active interference theory of consciousness. Like, this article and this theory is incredible in my opinion, but obviously it's confirmation bias. Just to be real, I could be chatting the most absolutely bullcrap, but I'm just basically saying that this is literally confirmation bias. So it speaks exactly to what I'm speaking about, just from a way more scientific perspective. And so all I was going to show you is not all of this stuff. Again, we got the Taurus people. So yeah, it must be true then, isn't it? We got the Taurus. We got the Taurus. I'm joking. So anyway, intuition pump. What a terminology that is, yo. You got the article here. I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm actually going to put it in the chat. So those I don't do nothing for people. There you go. Look, even pasted it into the chat there. There you go. All right, cool. So yeah, basically, yeah, this article, this was it. This image is beautiful. So my beauty is like images. Like, for me, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever laid my eyes on. This is beautiful. This is sacred geometry. This is also a version of sacred geometry, Plato's forms. And I'm basically saying, let me just put the chat up there just to make sure I'm not missing no chats or nothing. Yeah. And I'm basically saying that we're talking about the depth of your perception. That's why it goes back. So that we're talking about the depth of your perception. Like, there's no way I'm breaking this down today, by the way. But yeah, it's incredible. This whole paper is incredible. Epistemic depth is basically what we're speaking about. Is definitely an indicator of the quality of your consciousness. So let me get my stuff back up. Let me get my stuff back up. Right, cool. Maybe I might have to do that then. All right, fair enough. So yeah, the depth. So when I use words like, I use one word like the depth, and really I mean that. Like, that's what I actually mean, you know, specifically. Clarity and coherence of your lived experience. And then this one, energy wasn't actually part of my original model. So when ChatGPT, the most advanced version of ChatGPT, did the breakdown of this video, sorry, did the breakdown of my, you know, my ideas, basically, you know, whatever. I was like putting it into a formula. It didn't actually have energy in it. I never had energy in it either, and it never had energy in it. And luckily that week I had realized a problem with so many people that I'm, you know, so many people that, you know, I speak to basically around the work that we do. And it was like, I'm trying to understand, like, what is your capacity to get yourself into a state of healing? What is your capacity to grow? And the first thing I need to identify with people, basically what I was realizing is that the first thing I really need to identify with people is, what is your energy state? If I don't understand your vitality, your energy as it is now, that has to be the precursor. That's why it sits at the beginning of the formula. Like, it's like the most important thing I need to understand is your energy. Obviously, we're understanding energy. The universe is energy. It was quite weird that none of us had put it into towards the end of the formula, like, let's just say. But it's fine, we got there in the end. And I need to understand your vital force in the current moment to understand what I'm working with, basically. That's essential. That's essentially why this one is so crucial. So it's not even just energy. It's like your energy now, not your potential energy, not your yesterday energy. What is your energy now? The eternal now. And then we need to understand your intention. So your soul intention. What is your soul intention? What is your soul intention? Yeah, we need to understand, what is your soul intention? So I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. Give me 1 second, actually. I'm just going to get up another document because I feel like that this document is the old version. I just want to make sure I've got the latest version of the Vibrological Theory of Wellness. Yeah, I knew it. I haven't even been showing you guys the latest version of the document, so I don't know what's changed, but whatever. We'll just go to the latest version. And then... All right, cool. So yeah, this is the latest version of the document, and I'm just gonna go down to, I don't even know what's changed. Where are we? Oh no, what am I doing? Like, literally, I was looking at a different document. All right, cool. Anyway, the directional field, basically your willpower. Not necessarily your willpower, but your intention. What comes from in you, the tension. The beautiful thing here, beautiful. So I'm just reading the comment. I'm just reading the comment. I'm going to answer that in a second, by the way. I will answer that. I just don't want to digress too much. But thank you very much for that point. That was a beautiful point, James L. Cash. And I actually have a different perspective. Like, if I start speaking about that now, that will take me about 5 minutes to like properly explain my perspective, because it kind of agrees with you, but then it is also, you know, just a slightly tweaking of how I would write it. But specifically, your intention is your directional field shaper. So your project. So your project is going to be, your project will beam from your center. Like, we could say the center of your soul or your heart space. And it's going to ray of light. And so the different directions the different rays, each ray of light that comes from your center is your intention. So your directional field shaper or your soul aligned aim. So once we've got that, your energy and your intention, we then move on to your attention. So intention and attention, they're quite similar. And as I say, that the only thing that separates us from AI is your intention and attention. AI has no intention unless it was pre-programmed into it. So yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much because I feel like I've spoken on it a few times before, but an AI has limits, basically. And it doesn't have the special ingredients of attention and intention, which is actually the true AI. So we are the true AI. I've said that a couple of times. So we're saying the spotlight focus. So that ray of light will hit somewhere. So your intention. So what we're basically saying is that your soul core, your quantum space. So out of the quantum space is an explosion. And we're going to use the word explosion. Is an explosion of intention. That intention at some point will hit something. When it hits something, your attention, your consciousness, your consciousness hits something and then brings your light into focus, or what we're calling a spotlight. That spot, that nukta, triple darkness, that light. And so it's a precision of presence. So basically it brings a precision to what you do in your present state. And then we're looking at something. So shout out to Ian McGilchrist. Attention is a moral act. Attention is a moral act because what we look at shapes reality. So we got to be careful what we look at. Be careful what we lay our eyes on, because the power of our precision, the power of our presence is what is going to shape this reality as quantum entangled beings. And so we want to shape reality based on a coherent idea, a coherent intention, a coherent attention that will allow for harmony, rhythm, and integration of the mind, body, soul. Coherence. Once we get coherence, within that coherence is more of an inner thing, by the way. So when I'm specifically speaking about coherence, I'm speaking about an inner harmony specifically, by the way, just to be clear, which allows me then to distinguish it from resonance, which is the so-called separate subject. So-called separate subject. That so-called separate subject, what we're trying to do is be resonant with that so-called separate subject. And again, in the theory of oneness, the illusion of separation is what we are trying to uncover, unmask, dissolve, so on and so forth. And we only do that when we understand vibrational attunement with the environment, others, and higher order patterns. That is a beautiful term, higher order patterns. So again, I've been speaking about primes, the optimal primes. I'm trying to understand the root cause of things, the optimal primes. What is the root of your reality? What is your root intention? What is your root attention? You know? And then your expansion. How are you going to play an infinite game if you don't understand expansion? If you don't understand expansion. So what we're basically saying in the simple version of the model, what we're saying is in the simple version of this model, and this is the simple version. Obviously, I've got a more complex version. This was just my first ever idea. That was the vision that I had. What we're basically saying is that this idea of exploitation, which some people think is a dirty word, this idea of exploitation is just your strategy for overcoming quote unquote problems or challenges, just to keep things real simple. And your ability to exploit. So if you don't exploit, your system will become enclosed because this thing has stopped you from being who you are supposed to be, or who you want to be, or who you desire to be, or who you're expressing yourself as in that moment. And your inability to exploit or to continue the show will lead to an eventual aspect of a shift or a death, because it can't move, and something that can't move becomes blocked, and something that can't becomes blocked becomes stuck, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. And so James L. Cash is blowing up my comments at the second, so I definitely am gonna read that. Like, there's no way someone's gonna post, like, you know, so I'm gonna have to take a pause to actually read stuff. But I'm just gonna finish my train of thought. I'm on the last one, and then I'll get to you, James. So what we're basically saying is, when we go back to the quality here, we're basically saying, now I ain't gonna lie, I had to read this one about 20 times. I had to get ChatGPT to explain to me, because I understood every single thing up until this. Like, why did it use the one for? Like, what is this one about, and why is there two ones for? Because I even understood this to a degree. But yeah, I might explain it today, but basically it actually allows the formula to be practical. And what it does is it puts a cap on your potential. So essentially, no, don't apologize, James. Like, we love questions, we love interaction. Like, you know, like I said, I'm only as powerful as the energy I receive. How could I not be in a participatory universe? So I'm only as powerful as the energy I receive. Shout out to Q Reeves. And so yeah, man, we love questions, we love comments, and we love questions. Keep on coming. So I will get around to it in a second. So in a nutshell, I'm not going to explain this one now, because I can just show it to you, because I've got notes on it as well, and it'll just make it more simple to explain. But this is your capacity for growth. So you can have all of the energy in the world, you can have all of the intention, attention, coherence, and resonance. If you don't know how to expand, because really what we're talking about is improving, and that improving has to come from definitely a version of what a quality, and coherence will definitely speak to quality. But then if we're saying improving, at some point you would need space to improve into. And so expansion comes a critical part of your framework, of your space, of your time and space, essentially. You could say that your energy, because time is relative, is the eternal now. So we start off, you could argue, and I'm just saying this now, I'm just looking at the epiphany now, that the energy could represent your time, because time is relative, and so your energy is relative, and space, which obviously is dictated by your expansion. So we're talking about how to, again, move beyond space-time to the highest depths, or to the deepest depths of our reality, or epistemic. There you go. I've heard that word better times. Epistemic depth, the nature of our being, basically. So, where was we? There you go. So yeah, any questions on this, by the way, so far? Is there anything that people don't understand at the moment? Because I'm about to move on to like the actual formula part of the formula. Obviously, at the moment, we've just been breaking down the components of the formula. So if there's any questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm going to just read the last 5 messages from James. So I think that I'm just going to read it out loud just to keep people abreast of what's happening. So I'm reading something in the live chat. So I think that in order to know what you are referring to, you have to know what your past life was like to know why you are living in the current life you live. My ex-girlfriend's mum died and asked me to get her daughter pregnant so she could be close to her kid since they were estranged, and I told her no. Yo, what a request that is. Yo. Yo. Let me say that again. Let me see if I'm reading that right. My ex-girlfriend's mum asked me to get her daughter pregnant so she could be close to her kid since they were estranged. Yo, some people, if you don't ask, you don't get. I get that, boy. Yo, like yo, yo. I don't know what to say to that one. That is like, imagine like the surrogate. Yeah, that's like some form of surrogacy. That's like a next level of surrogacy. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That's some next level of vessel using possession. Yo, that is someone that don't have no power, boy. Like, yeah, like they're not understanding none of this stuff, boy. If they're asking them things, like real talk, this quality of consciousness thing that we're speaking about, yeah, nah. Like, yeah, she needs to watch this video. Peace out to the mums. All right, cool. So she was probably able to do it with another dude, but her intentions were clear based on her past life. Okay, I get you. So you're saying past life plays a big role in what you're talking about. Also, whatever emotional state you die in, you will follow when you're in between worlds and you reincarnate. Okay. Shout out to SP, another legend in the building. Shout out. Glad you could join. Hope your day has been pleasant and wonderful and beautiful. She wanted to be with her kid, but didn't realize that she wasn't who she thought she was. But she wanted to be with her kid, but didn't realize that she wasn't who she thought she was. Okay, cool. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to speak on that one. She took on the role of society and died thinking she was what? Is that an unfinished sentence? So that could be a big piece to the puzzle. But yeah, so specifically, past lives is an interesting one. Okay, cool. I understand what you. All right, now I get it. All right. So yeah, past lives. So specifically when it comes to past lives. So obviously we're in the school of know thyself. Clear. That is clear. Check. Cool. So we're in the school of know thyself. And obviously you can get like a past life regression. You know, shout out to the people that do that. My hesitation is that there is no magic bullet. I'm almost going to say that there's no magic formula. And even when I'm saying like there's no magic formula, the reason why I'm literally using it almost like a pun intended, I'm almost like discrediting, because it would be how you intend, how you attend, how you cohere, so there are a million ways in which you could do all of these elements. So that's like a million times 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 a million. And so what I'm basically saying is, to my knowledge, there is no one method. The most important thing is your model. I'm basically saying that the most important thing that you can do in life is focus on a model that is coherent, that makes sense. Once you focus on a model that is coherent, that's when I showed you like my optimal primes. You don't have to agree with this whatsoever. I couldn't care less if you don't agree with this. It makes no difference. One thing you can't do is tell me that this ain't coherent, because I can talk you off for like 20 days about how this fits into that and that fits into that, and I can tell you stories and experiences and lives and so on and so forth. So I'm just basically saying that this system is coherent. It makes sense. I can definitely say that. It may be the wrong one, but it definitely is a coherent theory. And we'll just use the word theory. I'm happy using the word theory. So the reason why I'm saying that basically is that with past life regressions, that may be a key. That I'm not saying it's not important, but if it's not improving the quality of your consciousness, then for me it's only gonna go so far. If it gives you a piece to the puzzle, fine, great. You now know your past life. You may get lucky enough to know your past lives. For example, you have those people, they have all of their past lives revealed to them in the flash of a blink of an eye. Like, you know, more power to you, more power to those people. But I'm going to say it's the skill. Information is not power. Wisdom is power. Qualia is power, not the particular method. So I don't believe that you need to know your past life. You can improve the quality of your consciousness to a ridiculous level and never get into anything in regards to past life, because the most important thing is about what you're doing now, the energy that you're vibrating with now. And in my thesis, and this is purely conjecture, purely theory, so take it with, like, I love saying that when it is that. If I feel like I've got something that's stronger, I will say it more strongly. But I basically believe, I'm using the word believe, that the state of, I think you said it actually, your energy when you die is what's the most important, or like the accumulation of energy or the accumulation of the quality of your consciousness is what's going to have the biggest effect on what happens to you, where you go, what you're able to do, so on and so forth when you die. I'm saying that the quality, I haven't even said this one before, so like, let's just put it on camera. I'm saying that one of my long held beliefs is that the quality of your, and because I never framed it in a way, I always spoke about your consciousness and I used to speak about your state of mind, but I just never had this phrase quality of consciousness. So it's not ridiculously revolutionary. It was just the clarity in which that phrase speaks to my soul. That's the main difference about this particular thing. And then obviously the fact that I've added a formula, because I had never done that before. So yeah, I'm basically saying that the quality is important, and you accumulating more knowledge, if you don't know how to wield it, if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to express it, can render itself meaningless. So again, what is your ability to discern information? What is your ability to mean make? I talk about the mean machine. I literally have a formula for the, well, it's not a formula, I have an acronym for mean. You know, again, go check out one of my older videos where I talk about the meaning of life, how to live a meaningful life, basically. I break that down in one of my favorite videos, one of my most important videos, in my opinion. So, all right, cool. Where are we going with this? I'm just looking at my notes on the quality of consciousness. As usual, I haven't even got past 10% of my notes. So, you know, it is what it is. Nothing's always normal for me. We're used to it by now, isn't it, people? In it, family. All right, cool. All right, cool. So now I'm just looking at your comments, James. Cool. Yeah, like here it's just, I love questions that are thought provoking. So that a question like that is one of my, that's my kind of favorite question to answer. Something like that, you know, because you basically made a statement at 9:26. Also, whatever emotional state in you die, also whatever emotional state you die in will follow you when in the in between worlds. So what you just said, I didn't even read that. I thought actually, I'm not sure. No, I think I did read that, but I wasn't sure. But anyway, what you just said there, that's one of my long held beliefs as well. That's why I don't eat meat, for example. So when people ask like why I don't eat meat, one of the reasons why I'm a vegetarian is because I believe that animals a lot of animals are in an emotional state of stress before they die, and then you're eating that stress. That's just like my personal perception. But yeah, shout out to the meat eaters. Obviously, you've got to kill plants as well. So, you know, this world is a kill world to survive. It is what it is. Unless you can sun gaze and breath and be a breatharian. But hey ho, let's keep it moving. So anyway, all right. So I'm just looking through my notes. Bum bum bum. Ah, yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. Boom. Yeah, that's hard. Still, that's hard. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah. Let me share my screen. This one is hard. Definitely need to share this. Laptop webcam. All right. Cool. So important. All right. Cool. Everything is fine. All is divine. All is divine. Everything is fine. One of my, you know, epiphany um fed mantras. And my skill set is or was in maths early. That was like that was my first subject that I shone in, was maths and problem solving. Essentially, this is like in primary school, problem solving. And so that was a title that I would wear proudly. You know, that was a moniker that I was given by the school. You know, they, you know, whatever, in assembly your last year, they was like, oh yeah, what you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. You know, they gave everyone a title, and they called me problem solver. Just whatever, for whatever reason. I'm not gonna go into the story. I think I've explained it before. So anyway, my whole point is a hammer only sees nails. So whilst this title is a decent, I'll just do webcam. Whilst this title is a decent title, you know, it's quite a noble title. It's also a dangerous title because obviously it could develop a savior complex. I'm not sure if I have a savior complex or not, to be honest. I am opening up a wellness center and I do spiritual life coaching. I don't know what that means, to be honest. I'm not going to, I don't want to decipher it too much. I feel like I know the reasons why I do it, but you know, I'm conscious of the fact that savior complexes are not healthy. That's one thing I do know. So the reason why I say that basically is because my skill that I know I've developed is the ability to solve problems. Like I've just improved the quality of this skill from called out at a young age into an older age, an ability to solve problems. And that's cool. Again, there's levels to this game, so that's cool. But it doesn't really work in a oneness framework. It's a dissonant idea. Basically, problems are a dissonant idea in a oneness framework. Good and evil are a dissonant idea. It's not a first order idea. So again, we're talking about the hierarchy of ideas and the hierarchy of beliefs. And I'm basically saying that problem solving causes a dissonance, a disease, incoherent wave within the framework of a pure oneness model. Because there is no good and bad, there is no up and down, there is no healthy, unhealthy. At the most fundamental level, there is just lifing, essentially. And then we get into the recycle and the rebirth, basically. And so again, as usual, I show the two poles. If I had a string and it was saying good and bad is there, so bad is there, good is there, and all that is talking about is morals. And so we're just looking at the framework of morals. And so the deeper root is what is the framework of your moral system. So what we're basically saying is that a problem solver only sees problems or solutions, which is fine because I can see solutions quicker than most, in my opinion, or in my experience. And it's pretty decent, you know, to see emotions or to see solutions. But as we're moving on into the theory of wellness, one of the things that I spoke about last week was this idea of resource theory that is in this book, Prologue, that then is front and center in the Biocoherence app. So in both of them, they talk about this idea of resource theory. And this idea of resource theory is you have no lack. Well, I'm saying it like, let's just say I put my own metaphysical understandings of what they were saying, and I just went to wherever I wanted to go with it. So what I'm basically saying, because I don't want to misquote the book, is that there is no lack. The idea of lack, there is an illusion of lack, an illusion of scarcity. These are all illusions from a lower order mindset, a monkey mind, to be specific. And so when you are in your higher order coherent thoughts, your higher order coherent thought patterns, let's just say that one again because that just sounds beautiful. When you're in the state, when you're in the energetic state of higher order coherent thought patterns in a universe that is mental, that was a good one, isn't it? Then you're always going to understand things from a oneness perspective. This is just my belief. So there can be no lack because you are the creator of all in an infinite universe, in the eternal now. One of the reasons why you don't really need to focus on past lives is because the past doesn't exist and neither does the future. There is just an eternal now. This is like my model theory of the universe. There is just one eternal now. And that one eternal now is a changing state through the world of probability and possibility. That's basically what it is. We live in a probabilistic universe. So even the past becomes probabilistic. Quantum theory proves that the past is an illusion. The past is a probabilistic state, just like the future is a probabilistic state. So quantum theory proves that, or indicates strongly to that. Retrocausation, if you want to look into it. So what we're basically saying is that there is a new paradigm shift. So for the people that are on this wave and that can resonate with this wave, that want to truly tap into this idea and this concept of oneness, or what I'm choosing to call oneness. There's many names for it. The monad, for example, Plato, and Neoplatonism, yada 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 yada. This old paradigm of the problem solver. This comes from an idea of lack. Solving equals success, and happiness then becomes a byproduct of the solution. Self-worth is performance-based. Time is linear. So, I've been banging on the longest about this one. Like, ever since I did that video talking about time. Time is linear. Cause, problem, solution, reward. So this is how most people think I would argue in my observations. Cause, problem, solution, reward. This is a linear mind state that I was titled with. So I had to, wake up to this lower order form of coherence, because it's still coherent, by the way. This system is coherent. So this system works, but this system is based on a finite game. So the greatest finite game you can play is this system: cause, problem, solution, reward. You're always going to fall to states of problems. You're going to be in an ever-ending cycle of problems and causes that are outside of your control, which lead to problems, which leads to you having to work to solutions and then get your, if you're lucky, moment respite of a reward, or just keeping the bailiffs at bay. So what I'm basically saying is the field alchemist, shout out to ChatGTP because I definitely didn't do that one. Field alchemist. The field alchemist is there are no real problems, only distortions of field coherence. Say that one again. There are no real problems, only distortions of field coherence. I don't fix, I refine. Attunement equals transformation. So when I'm specifically saying that the power is, so I get myself into trouble sometimes because I speak really big. I speak really, really big. And I often get myself into trouble because I say some crazy stuff. Like, so someone could be going through the deepest trauma, and I'll explain this one next week a bit more about like how I move. But someone could be going through some quite deep trauma, and I may sit with them in their trauma, but I can see the light of the tunnel. I can see the light of the tunnel because I'm not going through that situation. I can often see the light of the tunnel. That's why you would speak to other people, because you can see the light of the tunnel before they do, even in their darkest moments, even in dark situations. And so I have this statement: transformation is in the now. Obviously, because the only thing that exists in my mind is the eternal now. And so transformation can happen way quicker if you understand it's just about attunement, not atonement. So experience is not judged, it's witnessed and vibrationally sculpted. Time is non-linear spiral resonance in the now. And yo, that's a bar. Every moment. Oh, so let me show my screen. Every moment, I'm at the bottom here. So every moment is an upgrade portal, not a test. So this is this whole idea of people thinking that life is a test, and the fact that I don't subscribe to life being a test. Basically, I don't subscribe to it. It's a coherent idea. It makes sense when you look at reality and look at life. I understand where it comes from. I understand who writes about it. I understand the books that write about it. But me, myself, I don't subscribe to life as a test in my oneness theory. It doesn't really make sense when all is self and self is all. Like, who are you? Who set the test? What I'm basically saying, the reason why I don't subscribe to that is that 99.9% of people, or at least let's just say 90% of people to be kind, is when they're saying life is a test. There you go. Life is what you make it. For me, the most simple epiphany is when I realized literally life is what you make it. It is nothing more, nothing less. And I only got that epiphany 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, after studying stuff for like 20 years, 25 years. I actually realized it was 25 years. I'm saying 20 years. It was 25 years. I put that on my business card today. I've been studying stuff for 25 years. And only 6 months ago, not like I've never heard of it before, but I didn't realize how true that statement is. Life literally is just what one makes it. Shout out to James L. Cash. He's on the money there, boy. He's on the money. James L. Cash is on the money. And so life is not a test. There is no thing in the sky that sits outside of self, judging self, putting one to eternal damnation if you fail this test. Again, if you choose to believe that, then choose to believe that. You know, it's just not what I believe. So there's nothing outside of myself that is testing myself when all is self. So then how could life be a test? How could life be a test? Unless I set up the test. And if I set the test, there's no way I'm going to set up myself to lose. Are you mad in your head? So if life is a test, I definitely didn't set up myself to lose. I know that for a fact. So, like, yeah, now why would I do that for? Who does that? Who does that? Why would you set up yourself to lose? So if I'm feeling like I'm losing, then obviously that must be part of the illusion. I must be testing myself in the wrong game. I'm playing the wrong game. If I feel like I'm losing in life, I must be playing the wrong game. I must have fallen out of alignment with the true game. The true gain. The true game, the true gain. Game is gain. So, anyway, every moment is an upgrade portal to improve, obviously, the quality of your consciousness. Basically what we're saying. So every moment is an upgrade portal. And what I'm going to show you lot next week is that I know my purpose. I know my project way more clearly. And one part of the project, I won't say it's the only part of the project, but one part of the project, I'm already living my project, quite honestly, loud and clearly. But one part of the project that has evolved, it's all love, bro. It's all love, man. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, by the way, because this is what we do. This is the standard. This is the level. So if you like it, then subscribe. There's more to come, and I'm only improving the quality of my consciousness. So, you know, keep it moving. So anyway, so like I said, I had a spiritual experience last week that lasted for a few days. Kind of still getting aftershocks of that, and I only just realized that I got upgraded spiritually as well. Like I just had realized that I also had a spiritual upgrade, as well as a calling, as well, basically, or as well as a directive, a clear directive from source, from my higher self, from the Most High. So every moment is an upgrade portal. And we spoke about that last week. Individual does not mean indivisible. I'm just going to read from my notes now. So yeah, it's like 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, whenever I notice 10 o'clock, I'm always like, okay, cool. At no point am I anywhere near what I was going to go through. You know, I feel like out of my 37 videos, I've only ever finished early once, in terms of, oh, bro, did that quite quick. So yeah, I'm literally only 20% into my slides or whatever I've prepared. A lot of these notes are internal documents as well. They're not really supposed to be, they don't need to be shared word for word. Like, these are my own, I'm selfish. All is self, by the way. So I'm selfish. So these are internal conversations and internal reflections in which I pick and choose the moments to share with so on and so forth. The external. What dreams may come. Yeah. Shout out to my sis. Peace and love. Peace and love. I love you, sis. Shout out to the sis. Can or will. So your YouTube name, look, I'm blowing up my sister on YouTube, by the way. This is actually my real sister, like my blood sister. And I just got a little decode on your name. So I didn't realize you chose yourself as Can and Will. I'm not gonna blow up her real name, she's quite shy. So like Can and Will. So you've called yourself Can and Will. Can you or will you? Can you or will you? I know that will resonate with her. Like, she knows as well. That's like a lot. Can you or will you? What's the question? What is it? Is it a can or is it a will? Anyway, we're keeping it moving. I'm catching jokes. It's getting 10 o'clock with people. This is like, yeah. This is the YouTube. This is the live version of the witching hours. I can and will. All right, cool. All right. Touche. Got the possibilities and the willpower as well. No doubt. All right, cool. So I'm just literally looking through my notes and I'm going to see if there's anything else that I want to bring to the fore or if I'm going to keep these to myself. Like, I haven't even showed you the other document. Oh, yo, rah. I haven't even showed you my other document. This is like, yeah, I got to definitely mention it today. If I don't do it today, then I'm definitely not doing it next week. So, all right, cool. We're going to keep it moving, but I'm just reviewing my notes. Transformation is in the now. I just read some stuff. I'm not going to explain nothing. If you get it, you get it. If not, if you want me to explain anything, expand on anything, I can. But the universe does not test, it reflects. Yeah, of course it is. So the universe does not test, it reflects. There are no problems, only resonance breaks. Yeah. Misaligned. Now that's important. All right, screen share. That's important. 100%. This one's important. All right. Not transformations in the now. Not this one. This one. So when I'm speaking about healing, I'm basically saying that the universe is perfect. The universe is in divine order. The zoomed out bird's eye view version is coherence. Don't listen to what they tell you. The zoomed out bird's eye, the most bird's eye version of the universe is coherence. Not chaos. It's coherence. It just seems like chaos to our monkey minds. And when we're not in coherence, that would be the lower order misalignment. Now, this misalignment is real important. It's not an error. Your pain can be your greatest cause for transformation. Your chaos can be your greatest cause for transformation. So it's the universe's forced. Those who, Candice is on the, my sis is in the building. Those who can't hear shall feel. Shall feel. So pain is course correction. It's a signal for course correction. An opportunity for recalibration. Obviously, if you're in pain, you're going to do something about it. So it's an opportunity for recalibration. That shift in the idea, the power of the idea. So I'm saying the power of the idea is powerful, obviously. And so we're saying that shift, that tweak in an understanding of what health actually is, what pain actually is, on a life project perspective, is really, really transformational. If you've never heard anything like that before, definitely. And so carrying through the notes, if there's anything else that I'm pulling up, so that's all we're really doing at the moment, pulling up. And then I'm not going through this, but yeah, we love our acronyms. And so this is basically talking to you. I love an acronym. And so this one goes to the, what's the most dearest? And dearest is obviously like, what's the most dear? Like, what's the most deep? What's the most valuable to you? And so we're saying that this now is a formula that goes into a function of like what you're supposed to be doing. So with your intention, you need to direct it. With your energy, you need to energize it. With your attention, you need to attend to it. With your resonance, you need to obviously resonate with it. With your expansion, you need to expand through it. With your coherence, you need to structure it. And with your quality of consciousness as a whole, you need to transmit it. So yeah, that's just like a quick acronym. Keep it moving. Is there anything else I want to pull out? Nah. All for me. That's all for me. That's all for me. That's all for me. Yeah, definitely got to do this one. Definitely got to do this one. Yeah, like I said, anyone that's new to my channel, I have a one and done mentality. What that basically means is that when I cover a topic, I don't want to cover it again. And so I have a video that I'm just like, so this is that video, whatever this. So when I speak about the quality of consciousness, this is the video that I will be directing people to. So when I speak about, if you're bored and you want something to do in life, I think you should focus on the quality of consciousness. You're like wondering what a purpose is. Well, just for now, just use this until you find something better. So I have a one and done mentality, basically. That's why my videos are so long, because I'm not trying to do it small, basically. All right, cool. So yeah, let me share my screen. So yeah, this is important. This one. So this was another key framework. So as I said, I'm all about frameworks. And so another key framework is this idea called the spiral of becoming. So a vibrational path of self-refinement. So how do you improve your quality of consciousness? You understand it. You understand your quality of consciousness as a vibrational path of self-refinement, aligned with soul, rich in qualia, and guided by a transcendent purpose. Very, very specifically, this last bit here is key. Is your purpose transcendent? When you're, again, like I said, I'm not asking you to 100% follow what I'm doing. I'm just saying, please, in whatever worldview, whatever system you create, we create our own realities, make sure it's coherent. Anytime there's incoherency, deal with it, because that is, a modern day version of a disease, a dissonance, a rug rat, a cancer, or a course correction that is giving you an opportunity to change. You know what I mean? Like you say how we're breaking these things down. Just depends on what level and what language you're choosing to use to spell and invoke and enhance your magic. So anyway, we want a transcendent purpose. Come on, people. Like if you're watching this channel, transcendent purpose is where we're at the very least. Well, not at the very least, but that's what we're looking for. And I literally just spoke to someone about that. They know who they are. They've been very naughty. They had a purpose that weren't transcendent. Very, very naughty. They should know better. Anyway, so what this is basically is this is showing you the levels. So this is my version of the Maslow's hierarchy, or the quality of consciousness graph. So this is my new. So I've built already my own versions of psychological developmental charts. So how do you improve in an area like your model or your morals or wherever. So anyway, what I'm basically trying to say is that this is my version of my spiritual hierarchy, spiritual ladder. So I'm trying to run through it real quickly, because obviously this will be centerpiece to how I evaluate people when it comes to some of my assessments for my life coaching. Basically, this now goes front and center, or one of the things that is front and center of the many things, of the 5 things in specifics. So anyway, surviving, coping, stabilizing, harmonizing, expressing, transcending, encoding. And so in my school, in my school, we speak about the highest levels. Just the idea of the highest levels obviously can be off-putting and destabilizing and debilitating for certain people. And for those people, you may need to take things slowly, take things at your own pace. But obviously, I'm building with a lot of people that are going to look for the highest levels, no stone unturned. And so to my mind, the highest level is your ability to encode your own reality, your ability to create your own reality, to shape your own reality, to encode your own reality. And so that happens when you understand that you are the vibration, the sovereign presence, the energetic authority that has sacred impact. So I'm basically saying that the quality of your consciousness, if I was going to be harsh and say I'm going to judge it or I'm going to give you a score, let's just use some basic old school language. I'm saying that if we were going to do that, then I would be looking at your ability to show me how you are showing that you are the vibration. If you have a victim mentality, you're not showing me you are the vibration, to be very specific. To be very, very, very specific. If you're showing me that you've got a victim mentality, you're not showing me you're the vibration. If you're showing me that you only can rely on on other people for your peace and your happiness, you're not showing me that you're encoding your reality and the highest quality of a potential consciousness. If you are meek to the point of suppressing your energy, dimming your light, lowering your levels, then you're showing me that you're not representing the highest state of your quality, of your consciousness. And if you don't understand the sacredness and the importance that you are to the universe, then you're not showing me the quality of your consciousness. We'll just put it like, to be real specific. So if you are reactive, obviously the opposite, I'm only going to talk about the bandwidth. So obviously we're not going to talk about anything in the middle. They're pretty obvious, hopefully, they had some words, you can screenshot this stuff. You can take this stuff, that's what it's here for. So the lowest level obviously is the survivor. They are alive, so they're here. So, but they're just surviving. It's a great thing. They're here. Reactive, scattered, energetically depleted, and operating on instinct or fear. A fearful instinct, a fear-based instinct. So we're not saying that instinct is not good. Let's be a bit more specific. A fear-based instinct. If you're operating off of a fear-based instinct, then you're obviously operating on lack. You're obviously operating on scarcity. You're obviously operating on finite time, so on and so forth, basically. And so, yeah, again, consciousness evolves not by fixing, but by tuning. And so all of these states you can enter at any point. So again, you can enter any of these states at any time if you have the ability and skill and the know-how. Ah, beautiful. I didn't even know. I forgot about this one. I haven't looked at this for 2 weeks since I've done this, because it's like 2 weeks old and I'm on some other one. I'm already on another one. All right, cool. So the desire for progress. So, okay, so apologies. Yeah, so this is the cycle of diminishing becoming. So obviously this would be the opposite to this. And I actually created this first. This was created first. I remember doing that in the order. This was created first and then I created this after. So the desire for progress. The desire for progress. Especially when it comes from lack, comparison, or ego urgency. Yo. Has anyone ever heard of that state before? Has anyone ever heard these phrases put together? Ego urgency. I want you to contemplate on that one yourself. I don't want to break down everything and just give it to you like, we're not babies out here. So I would love if someone or anyone that this video resonated with, or someone that resonated with is, what does this person mean by ego urgency? I'm not actually going to explain it. Why would ego urgency be a thing that I have put on the cycle of diminishing becoming, diminishing returns, things that lower your quality of experience, to be very specific? Why would I put ego urgency? I know it's got the word ego, but it's also got the word urgency. So, how many of us are suffering from ego urgency? I don't really think I've heard it spoken about, and I don't want to speak on it. Just sometimes I allow things to sit with people. So, action or utility or image. Achievement feels hollow. Shout out to Shout out to shout out to someone who's feeling like that. Achievement feels hollow. I'm laughing because this person can get out of it in seconds. They did it to themselves, quite honestly, and they know this as well. So yeah, it's cool. Like this is not someone I'm teaching, by the way. It's like someone that I know, like a friend, family, basically. It's all good. But yeah, their achievement, they achieved something big and it feels hollow, and they know why. So anyway, and redefine goals within the same system, or redefine goals within the same system. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one, obviously. Sign of insanity, basically. And then repeat with spiritual dissonance, which is massive. This one is massive. This one is massive. Spiritual people who have an estrangement from the soul field. So, I know people that walked the spiritual path and became disillusioned with it. And, this is like years ago, and me just reflecting on stories and people that I knew from years ago that had said certain things. And as I'm reflecting it back now that I understand this model, because I never had this model at the time as a reference point, it's no wonder why when I kind of deep it and I'm like, well, yeah, because you wasn't focusing on the right thing. Your focus was on something that was always going to burn out. And so you was always going to become estranged with it. So even though you were studying, or even though we study spirituality, if it's for the wrong reasons, you're going to become disillusioned. Again, if it's to avoid pain, if it comes from a place of lack, if it's centered and comes from a place of lack, at some point it's going to lead to estrangement and a hollowness, not a fullness and a richness. So obviously you just want to take these two models and contrast them. They're not exactly like for like, because one's got 7, one's got 5. But I trust that you can do that yourself, basically. Oh, you can actually I am available for life coaching, by the way. I actually forget to tell people this. Like, sorry about that. But yeah, I do life coaching. So yeah, anyone that wants some life coaching can hit me up. But you gotta be ready though. Don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. You gotta be ready to change. Because I can't change for you. So you gotta be ready to do the work. If you ain't ready to do the work, don't reach out to me. Literally. So anyway. Yeah, I'm getting towards the end of the document. I kind of want to just skip through because I want to just show something quickly and then I'm about to bounce. So yeah, I want to be finished within the next 5 to 10 minutes and go bed at a reasonable time. Chill with the missus, have a cup of tea. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, no, so the more, yeah, okay, cool. So then, yeah, it more becomes an internal document where I actually can give you a number for the quality of your consciousness. So I was just working out how to actually do a score. How can I work out a score based on the quality of consciousness, based on everything that I'm doing? So that was like a lot of the work, and that's what a lot of the last part of the document speaks about. So I don't need to really show that because it gets a bit techie. And then yeah, I think I'm finished with this document for now. I did see 1 or 2 other good bits, but it's fine. It's cool. Yeah, I've given a lot, so you know what I mean. It's fine. All right, cool. Let me show you something, and then I'm gonna just yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I do have like exercises and stuff as well. That is like the last 5 things, but I do feel like I'll do it on another video. I trust that my audience. I feel like for this one is more like a meditation as opposed to, oh, let's just go out and just do some work. Like a lot of this stuff is contemplative, and these will cause, like, these tweaks will cause a shift in consciousness. And so we don't need to focus so much on like, oh, I need to meditate and this is the way to do it and so on and so forth. Like just internalize it for now. So I do actually have exercises, but I don't even want to go through it, to be honest. I'm not feeling to. You did not come here to heal, you came here to attune, which obviously was my video last week. You did not come here to heal, you came here to attune. And every moment is a note in the song of your becoming. The spiral reminder. Okay, so yeah, that's what we'll close off with that. We'll close off with how the document closes. A spiral reminder. Every distortion is a call for refinement. I'll show the screen on this one. Every distortion is a call for refinement. Every fog is a prompt to sense. Every stuck moment is a frequency checkpoint. You did not come here to heal. You came here to attune. And every moment is a note in the song of your becoming. Your qualia is your legacy. Tune your field, refine your consciousness, and let your consciousness become the art you walk through life with. And so with that, we're going to show one little thing that I've been working on, and then I'm about to bounce. But yeah, any questions as well, load them up in the chat and I'll get to them. But yeah, how was that for people? Let me know as well how that was for people. Again, this one was big for me. And I never know what I'm gonna say fully in these videos, but yo, that's way too much, fam. Yo, what are you doing, people? So yeah, that's so yeah, so I never know what I'm going to say in these videos, and I definitely know that there was one part that I could have also shared as well, but again, it's getting late and I am really happy with what I've done so far. So I will save this whole thing for another video actually, and it's worthy. I don't want to rush it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't want to rush it. So let's go. So all right. I'm pausing because I'm looking at this document that I've created and I'm like, yo, it's so much. Like it's so much. And I want to go in like 5 minutes. So I'm only going to just briefly introduce it because it is worthy of a full presentation. But that's not happening. So I'm just going to introduce it briefly, basically, just briefly. So essentially what I've built is a matrix with 66,000 bits of information. Yes, I did say that. 66,000 bits of information. So as you know, I build spreadsheets. So yeah, as you know, I build spreadsheets. So this is a document here. I actually just don't want to confuse people. So like it'll just, but yeah, this is the document here. And so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sheets of information in an Excel sheet. And when you add up all of the numbers, it comes up to like 66,000, basically. And what this allows me to do is understand you from an energetic perspective. So you can see that number there, like 9,000. So I'm not joking. So this document, this one document has, please and please, I'm going, let's just show it a little bit. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like, it's how you use it. Like I said, this is just information overload. I know how to use it, but so give me 1 second. It's gonna give you a lot of flavor of it. Please and please. My mouse is a bit dodgy on my laptop, basically. So sometimes it takes me a while to pull out information. Um, yeah, so like I said, this document, all right, cool. So what I'm trying to do, and what the reason why I created this, is because I was trying to understand the interconnectedness of everything that I do and everything that I could do to help people. And so obviously I've built up a body of work over the last 4 years, and a lot of the body of work is in Excel sheets and these correspondence databases that allow me to build certain tools and apps and so on and so forth. And so this specifically is around healing and wellness. And so this theory of wellness, the output of it is this document that allows me to cross examine the interdependencies of energies at play in a person. Specifically, that's what this document does. And so in order for me to do that, I've broken that into the key core services or angles or aspects of attention in which I focus on. And so this first one focuses on the biocoherence app, which obviously is the biofeedback sensor, which obviously has 1800 biomarkers roughly that it looks at and it analyzes. And so what I basically built was my version of a directory or a reference manual for the whole of the biocoherence app. And I did this from scratch. Basically. So like my aim is basically to become one of the most knowledgeable people on the biocoherence app. And this document, like right now, puts me, in that lane, basically, like easily, because this one sheet is like mind blowing, quite honestly. Like I showed it a little bit to the inventor of biocoherence before I had even built it, and I've improved it like 10x, since that time. So yeah, it allows me to understand biocoherence and the scans on a mad deep level. So when I'm doing my readings for people, I can go in to a level like no other. Then, or with my particular angle. Then I have these assessments. So I run these assessments that allow me to do a psycho-spiritual assessment on people. And so it's basically through questionnaires. So these are some of the questions that I have that allow me to understand somebody from a psycho-spiritual perspective. When I'm saying a psycho-spiritual perspective, let's just be clear. I'm talking about their own perception on who they are and what they believe, their value systems and all the other angles of their personality, their identity, so on and so forth. And so what we're not, and so that goes really, really well. So these three documents are obviously color coded, or they were at one point. They were color coded to the same color. I feel like these two are supposed to be orange. But anyway, whatever. So yeah, these three documents allow me to do assessments. Like these are the pre-assessments. So we read your energy to be very specific, your frequency, we read your energy. Then we get you involved. Your mind gets involved in the healing process, basically, to understand where you see yourself from an emotional, mental, body, and spirit perspective. And then we do a divination reading, obviously based on my app, which is Sono. Again, anyone that's new here or has not watched this video before or is new to my channel, I have the world's first omni divination system, or basically it has 18 different divination systems integrated into one report. And so this is just an export. And so this is an export of that report. So what we're basically saying is that we can track your energy, we can track your mental state, and just how, also got questions around your body and your health and stuff like that. But basically what you tell us, and then also then what the stars tell us. So we've got the, let's just say the as above, we've got the so below, and the as within, basically. So we're kind of covering it all. The as without, we're going to get there. I got something for that as well at some point, but not today. As in, Yeah, anyway, there's always more to come, people. Just know that there's always more. So but yeah, we're covering the 3 directions, and the as without will be covered at some point in the near future. And then we basically, yeah, do a correspondence on your reading, and then we just do more correspondences. So all of these are just more ways for me to correspond the information that I receive from your biomarkers, from your assessments, and from your sono reading. And then I'm able to cohere it through these documents and get more correspondences and angles of information. That's essentially what these 3 documents are. Once I get these other layers, and I've added all the layers of depth from your assessment, and then I've went in and I've went deep, I then start coming up with formulas. So one of the things that I didn't show you that I was going to discuss, but just I'm not doing it now, so I don't want to rush it, is I've come up with formulas for life. I've literally come up with something called formulas for life, because obviously our first pillar is love life. And so these formulas for life are codes that will unlock and reveal to you certain aspects of your project. So whatever disease you think you have, or whatever disease you have, you're calling it, I will be able to decode what and the whys and the hows the universe is trying to speak to you through your pain, and how we can, as we said, course correct, allow you to understand your project, and essentially and then give you the question back, what do you want to do now you know this information? Where do you want to take it from here? And then where you want to go from here then goes into your formula that allows us to then build the solutions. So yeah, these are all my formulas. Like, yeah, this document's there, that one's mad. So again, some of these are like newly created, and then some of these I've had for other things, but this formula one is like a newly created one, and then this is old. And so I'm not joking. Like, so the solutions, 17,000 cells of information, just to be clear. Like, I'm not joking with this stuff. So we've got 17,000 cells of information that allows me to understand the exercises that are most optimized to your project, and the formula that we're looking to equate, to equal, to balance, to harmonize. Obviously all formulas have an equal sign, and obviously that equal is ma'at, that is balance, that is harmony. And so what are the solutions that are going to allow you to, what are the blend of solutions that's going to allow you to harmonize the most? And we would do that by bringing in elements that understand you from a resource perspective. So what are your resources and what are your strengths? And we go strength first. So one of the biggest shifts to my healing methodology is that I would normally focus on your problems first. This is like real specific. This is very, very specific to how I would help someone previously, is I would focus on your sicknesses, your disease, the thing that you don't like, the thing that you want to focus on, because most people come to me because they're trying to avoid pain. And so I just like, okay, cool. So then what can we do to avoid that pain? And I don't do it always, but subconsciously, I know that it's definitely a thing that's happened many times in the past. And I'm saying that I would never start there now. Or even if that person wants to start there, because that's just where they choose to start. When it comes to how we do healing, it doesn't start from a problem-led approach. In terms of the hierarchy, we don't go problem first. That is literally the key to, I would say, the difference to what we do in comparison to, you would imagine, the majority of people that are trying to quote unquote heal you or work with you. is that we don't go with a problem first approach or even a solutions first approach. Hence why solutions is like real far. Like there's an order into this. And I'll probably even change that solutions, and it's called solutions anyway. So it's kind of not solutions in the typical sense. And then yeah, just some more tools that, and then yeah, just some more documents that allow me to understand what tools that are going to be optimized for your health. So obviously I've bought for my wellness center. If I was going to talk about the individual tools, because obviously certain things I buy, like, you know, I've got a tuning forks, but it's like 7 tuning forks, and each one of those tuning forks do different things. So if I was talking about all of the individual modalities that I have in terms of their individual settings or the individual things that they can do within what they do, then it would be hard for me to equate. I've not equated that number, but you know, we would be looking at over 500 ways, just physical tools that I have, you know. So that frequency device, I've actually got over, I mean, you can argue I've got 4,000 frequencies that I could potentially play to you for your sound healing. So, you know, really, I said 500, but, you know, I'm saying that each one of these is a potential part that we would add to your playlist for the song that harmonizes you. So, yeah, that's what this matrix is basically, this MVWC, or the Vibrology Wellness Center Harmonic Matrix. That's what this document does. And so obviously it took me quite a while to create. Maybe it didn't take, I don't know how long people think I would take to create this stuff. But yeah, it took me, I don't know, a week, basically. Yeah, maybe a whole week. So yeah, that is beautiful timing. So yeah. Anyway, I'm about to get out of here. Beautiful, beautiful timing. My wife just came through the door. That is wonderful. Put on the kettle, please. Yeah, we're real about this stuff. Yeah, check out this document as well, man. This document is banging still. This document is a banging document. Yeah, we're about to get out of here. Peace, 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 and love, family. Next week, like I said, if you're into stories, yeah, next week, like I said, yeah, if you're into stories, if you're into synchronicity, if you're into divine timing, if you're into breaking down these codes, if you're into understanding how you become shout out to my sis, yeah, you know me, boy. I'm extra. Just that document is not needed. I could do what I need to do without it, but like, yeah, I'm extra. So why not have fun? So yeah, if you're into decoding, if you're into encoding, if you're into numerology, if you're into astrology, if you're into how does someone weave, how do I weave together a story that allows me to be the central character and also understand other people's role as their own central character in their own story. So I often say when I'm bringing people, like, you brought me here as much as I brought you here. Like, I'm no more powerful than you, vice versa. It's just oneness, just resonance. And so if you're into like that stuff, then yeah, next week is going to be a humdinger of a story. I can't wait to share it because yeah, it's going to be incredibly powerful. So yeah, anyway, without further ado, peace and love. Peace and love, Can. I love you like cooked food. Peace and love, Storm. Peace and love, Blessings. We're going to catch up as well. Definitely going to catch up. Peace and love, James L. Cash. Thank you very much. Genuinely, 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 I am only as powerful as the energy I receive. How can I not be in the beautiful loop of the universe that is infinite? Of course. So with that, we're all said and done. I can hear the kettle boiling, so I'm smiling. And yeah, peace out. Love.